exactly. Leadership troubles there in Cleveland. Never, you know, Baker Mayfield. I don't see it with the kid at all. I don't really think he's the
No,
quarterback to lead that team to any kind of championship. But
I think he's a college quarterback. I think he's a college quarterback that is very successful in college, and I don't know if that transfers over to the shit over in the NFL. I mean, what up, y'all? This is Mikey.
this is Nick.
We're here to talk about the AFC North and our predictions for who we think is going to win the division and a little bit more.
So
So, Nick,
starting, yep.
we got in this division. Let some of the viewers know who's in the division for. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be no new football fans, but let's talk about who's in the division first and how it went last year.
Well, obviously the defending champs are the Baltimore Ravens. They, led by Lamar Jackson, who's probably one of the better athletes in the league right now. The whole
Right?
whole team kind of like rallies around him and kind of live by him and die by him. And then they have upstart Bengals who have some good young talent and on that team. Steelers, led by Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger, and then the Cleveland Browns who, with the talent that they have on that team, you'd think they'd be something, but they're
I
missing
think so.
something. They're missing leadership.
Well, there's a lot of time. Last year, OBJ said he had a lot of injuries. He was banged up. I think Jarvis Landry was banged up. Um, this year, you got they have Njoku. They added another tight end, Austin Hooper, assigned to that big deal, who was like one of the biggest paid tight ends until recently. But I mean, really, what are the Browns going to do? Didn't they get Stefanski as their coordinator now?
The Browns?
Yeah, or as their
Uh,
coach. Their coach.
did they? As their quarterback coach or as their head coach?
I don't. I don't remember, to be honest with you. Check it out. Because remember, so here's the story was the 49ers were playing the Vikings in the playoffs last year, and obviously the 49ers ran them out of the house, and the defense fucking swallowed up the Vikings offense. And the defense was Robert Salah from the Niners, and everybody was saying he was going to be the next head coach somewhere. Then I'm pretty sure the Browns selected Stefanski as the head coach, and everybody's like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you pick Stefanski when he just got his ass whipped
Oh,
over
okay.
Robert Salah, who whooped that ass?
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. Stefanski. Yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Leadership troubles there in Cleveland. Never, you know, Baker Mayfield. I don't see it with the kid at all. I don't really think he's the
No,
quarterback to lead that team to any kind of championship. But
I think he's a college quarterback. I think he's a college quarterback that is very successful in college, and I don't know if that transfers over to the shit over in the NFL. I mean, you get mollywop sometimes. You got Jamarcus Russell, who's the same shit. There's quarterbacks like that all the time who come out that he's like, oh, the next big thing and shit like that, but then he doesn't do anything.
yeah, exactly. That happens more often than not. But they have, two Pro Bowl running backs there, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, you
Studs,
know, Austin Hooper and Joku. They have the talent there for sure. They just paid Miles Garrett.
right? Well, I mean, now you have, and this is a good segue. Now you have Joe Burrow in that division, and in my opinion, he's got a higher upside than Baker Mayfield.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think he passes the eye test a little bit more. I think he has probably some more of the intangibles that you look for in a
He's got that
quarterback.
swag,
Right, he's got that Namath swag, smoking a cigar after the
right?
game. The Bengals are not a bad team. They have two good running backs, Mixon and Bernard. Um, so they Burrow can rely on a pretty solid running game to bail him out.
I mean, he's got good wide receivers too, and I think that offense is going to pass the ball, but like you said, to start, you got to run the ball. You can't just give Joe Burrow a you're in the headlights look and like, oh shit, first play of the game, I'm gonna go bomb. No, they're gonna fucking hand the ball off.
Yeah, right, exactly. But they did draft T. Higgins to help him out. Tyler Boyd had a pretty good year as far as, fantasy
Right.
standards went anyway. AJ
You got
Green.
AJ Green.
What do you think about AJ? Where do you think he falls when he's healthy? That's a big question with him.
I mean, he was a phenomenal receiver. One of the best top five in the league a few years ago. Um, Injury prone. He hasn't even played in a while, I don't think. So he's still a veteran wide receiver, still probably top 15 in the game when
Hmm.
healthy, when 100% healthy, but he's not his old self, I don't think.
Yeah, no, not at all, actually. uh, but the Steelers, they have definitely a lot
Ben
of leadership there. Big Ben's coming back. I don't know how much he's got left, but he's
looks
definitely,
good. I saw him in camp today. He slimmed down a little bit, I think.
yeah. Well, he definitely needed it, especially when he's getting older. They
Right.
got they got plenty of talent around him. James Conner.
I got some fixing up to do on offense, I think,
Yeah,
especially on the line.
that's for sure. Their old line needs to be addressed. They don't really have another offensive weapon to rely on outside of Juju.
Yeah, yeah,
They did
Juju. I mean, the other ones they had Dante Moncrief for a minute that didn't do jack shit.
right. He didn't do anything. But they did sign Eric Ebron, so he pairs up with Vance McDonald. So that's a
Which
pretty
Eric Ebron, though? You know what I mean? Which one are we getting?
yeah. He either shows up or he's non-existent. That's for sure.
Right.
They have some exciting players on that
So,
defense, though. Minka Fitzpatrick.
oh, dude, Devin Bush is my dude from Michigan. That dude was baller in Michigan, bro. He would run. That dude's fast.
Yeah, he's definitely more of a, sideline to sideline. He can cover, he can make the open field tackles. Bud
I'm
Dupree.
more I'm more worried about their DBs. Well, I guess their corners more specifically. Obviously, Minka fucking helps that issue, but the
Yeah.
cornerbacks are concerning to me.
Yeah, Joe Hayden and Steve Nelson as your 1 and 2. It doesn't really wow
But
you when you see it.
it doesn't. But let's take a step back though.
Joe Hayden was a Pro Bowler at one point. Joe Hayden was a beast.
by the way, his ass just got a bunch of his fucking jerseys burned by Montez Perfect. You see that shit?
Joe Hayden did?
Yeah, so somebody sent, I believe it was no, it was Pac-Man Jones. Somebody sent Adam Pac-Man Jones a box, right? They mailed him something in the box. He opened it. It was literally like fucking 20 to 30 Joe Hayden Pittsburgh Steelers jerseys signed, and he was cussing the camera. I was like, "Fuck this motherfucker, man! Who would do this shit?" And he dropped fucking gasoline on it and lit it on fire.
No way. What a
Swear to God, you
savage.
can Google that shit. Google that shit. I swear to God, that shit was so funny. But yeah, they got. So what I was gonna say is they have. I don't really need. If you take a step back and think about it, I kind of get it though because who's what Cincinnati's probably the only team right there. I mean, well, Cleveland depending on if they're healthy, but most like the Ravens are the best team in the division. You don't need fucking corners.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who are you gonna guard? Willie Sneed?
Yeah, they don't really throw the ball too much. When your number 1 and number 2 is, Willie Snead and Marquise Hollywood Brown.
He's a burner, so you just push back. You one deep safety.
And what you do find a lot in the NFL is teams do build around their division a lot more so than the entire NFL because that's what really is, what's going to get you into the playoffs is a
Right.
divisional win. So,
If you can win all your divisional games, then you already won 6 games.
right. So you see a team like the Ravens, you know, a lot of those teams in the NFC North, they have good running backs, and you take a look at their front seven is pretty impressive.
Right?
They
Okay,
got
so we don't need to talk about the Ravens when we've hit up the other one. So let me hear your order. Let's Let's do this one a little different. Let's start from the bottom. Give me the bottom team that you have in that division and their record, working your way up to the Ravens because we know where your mind's at.
Yeah, obviously the Ravens. Man, I like the talent on the Bengals, but they're obviously, I think, in my opinion, the least talented in that division. So I would have to say the Bengals come in last.
Caveat: talented. I would tweak that word and make it experienced. I think they're talented, but they're not experienced.
The Bengals,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they have a very young team for sure. Then
Yeah.
I could
So
see
what
this.
was your record? What was the record for the Bengals?
Oh man, I don't see the Bengals improving too much. Um, what they go last year? They went 2-14 last season and had the number one overall pick. They're starting a rookie quarterback, so
Oh, Burrow.
yeah, you know, maybe if they got 4 wins, I'd be impressed.
Right.
Then
Okay, so you got them 4-12.
yeah, about 4-12, and then the Browns, man, like I'm really torn here between the Browns and the Steelers, but I'm gonna say third place goes to the Steelers.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I think they'll finish about 7-9, 8-8, you know, this
Whoa,
year.
barely 500. Okay.
Yeah, even with Ben back, like I don't know, like I like Mike Tomlin. He's a top five coach in the league for sure, but maybe that defense bails them out a lot this year. I think their defense will be stingy. I just don't think they're going to score
So
many
do you think this?
points.
Do you think this starts a trend for the Steelers on the way down?
They scored half as many points as the Ravens did last season, like literally
Without
half.
Big Ben. Without Big Ben.
Yeah,
Let's be real. It's a different team. But is this, if you're saying they're 7-9, if you're saying they're a 500 team, is this a new Pittsburgh that we're seeing that's middle of the road?
I think so. I think Pittsburgh's going to be pretty average for a little bit unless something dramatic happens,
Okay.
unless
So
somebody
obviously,
emerges.
so you have the Bengals at 2-14 and the Steelers at 500. So at 8-8, 7-9. Now, what do you have the Browns at then? Because you went back and forth a minute. So what are they? 9
I,
and 7, 10 and 6?
I think that they honestly will be about that same record, like 8-8, but I think they'll just like nudge them out for like divisional purposes. I think they'll get second place in that division.
Okay.
And then obviously the
And
Ravens, I think will. Yeah, and that's what the Browns should do. Like, look at that team's roster. Like, Jesus, man, do something. And then the Ravens, I think, will finish, 11-5 this season, 12-4.
we're 14-2 last year, man.
Yeah, they went 7-1 on the road though. That's tough to do.
Well, not this year with the coronavirus and the no fans, and
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
we'll see.
true. Yeah. What do you
All
got
right,
for me?
so let me do mine real quick. So mine, I have to agree with you with the Bengals. It's not a trend downwards; it's a steady trend right now, but heading upwards because of Joe Burrow. We're gonna learn. I think we're gonna learn really early in the season if the dude's a stud or if he's not, and we're gonna see it in the first 4 games. I think so. The first quarter of the season. So I have them at 3-13, the ceiling of 4-12. Um, they're just not going to win many games. But the next team I have is the Browns. The Browns I have at 7-9, ceiling at that 8-8, kind of what you were saying. But I think this is the year they find out they need to fucking run the ball. And the problem is their defensive line is okay, but I think they allow too many points. Um, but I think their offense can't keep up with the offenses these days, especially fucking Ravens, Steelers. They can't keep up. So I think it's 7-9, 8-8 for the Browns.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 9-7, 10-6 with the Steelers. Big Ben's back, so games that he might have won in the past, fucking with his arm or with his legs, even. I don't think he's. You can make him lose 1 or 2 more games because of injuries and things like that. So 10-6, 11-5. With the Ravens, I think 13-3, man, and I can't even say or 14-2. I don't think 14-2 is fucking hard. Um,
Yep.
but 13-3 for sure, I think, is what they're. The division's shit. They're going to win all their division games, I think.
True. Do you think they'll sweep the division?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, no fans in Pittsburgh, no fans in Cleveland. I think it's a different ball game, and I think it's all about athleticism and play calling. And I think the Ravens win all of those against all those teams, even against Mike Tomlin. John Harbaugh has been around the league for a very long time, won a Super Bowl. So I think I give him the edge up against these coaches, man.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. And I think that'll about wrap up the AFC North here.
Well, first drop a comment. Let us know who you agree with, what records you think is going to pop up, and subscribe. If you don't subscribe, then you're not going to get alerts to watch us again. Come on now.
Later.